Let's turn our attention now to everything going on in TikTok. This saga continues to develop, and today, reporting from CNBC suggests that a big part of this deal, which Microsoft and TikTok and TikTok's parent company ByteDance hope to have hammered out in the next couple of weeks, is on all of the code that would take a full year, Melody Hom, to transfer from ByteDance over to Microsoft, such that all 15 million lines of code that goes into creating the TikTok app would reside with a U.S. company on U.S. servers. And I think it brings to mind the scope. Like, we're talking this like, sure, they could just make a deal, but the scale of the operation on a technical level is certainly been underappreciated, I think, to my mind, and probably to the market's mind as well.
Yeah, and just to bring up another example that's been ongoing when it comes to this potential acquisition is Google and Fitbit, right? And we saw that Australia and the EU are very heavily investigating the kinds of promises that Google has made in terms of siloing some of the data that it would be getting from the Fitbit acquisition, which also is already not fully confirmed. And that's just an emblematic example of what could be the case with the TikTok Microsoft tie-up. I do want to say that I got off the phone with a source familiar with the matter a couple hours ago who said that there are at least 3 or 4 other large companies that are bidding. They are reasonably credible offers. So kind of to what Dan had mentioned earlier this week too, this could be a bidding war. We act as though the Microsoft and TikTok is sort of a done deal. That's going to be the partner, regardless of the potential coding and software implications here. I think we are actually at a much perhaps earlier stage when it comes to the potential negotiations that are coming out of this. And according to this source, Microsoft is pushing the narrative that it will happen within a couple of weeks in order to seal the deal. But I do imagine that there will be other offers on the table very soon. After this hit, I'm actually going to swing by the TikTok headquarters here. It's actually 10 minutes away from my home, just to see if there's any activity, any buzzing around. I don't imagine that to be the case amid this pandemic, but who knows what we could see from there.
I mean, we forget that there's actually people in the world who are still doing shoe leather reporting, Melody Hom. So very excited to hear about that. We've just been stuck in our apartments here in the Northeast for months on end, forgetting that there are face-to-face contacts that sometimes actually go into this business. And yeah, I think you mentioned that the couple other bidders, no one who's selling themselves wants to say, here's our only date. But just to hear the outline of again, what it's going to take for those security concerns to be overcome, the number of engineers that it takes to process that much code in that kind of time. There are really, I don't actually think Facebook has enough engineers to do that. They've mostly been hiring security people. If you think about where their business has gone, only Microsoft and probably Alphabet have enough engineers to actually do the work.
And never mind the existing security concerns that the Facebooks and Twitters and YouTubes we've already been talking about for years, right? Whether it's misinformation, whether it's about complete, utter disinformation and the intentional way that people are using these platforms. TikTok is not immune to that, right? Just because it's the youth that are on the platform. So we did see TikTok coming out with a new policy outlining rules before the 2020 election. And that just shows all the existing issues that social media faces are probably heightened, if not more, on a platform like TikTok. And then you think about even Reels out of Instagram. Of course, we don't know whether to take that entirely seriously yet, especially because Reels, when they actually launched their marketing campaign, all they're doing is featuring TikTok creators, right? They basically poach TikTokers to say, hey, basically do the same thing on Instagram. We'll pay you perhaps 10K more or something like that. And we have a better monetization platform. So Miles, to your point, never mind the sort of outside issues and Trump getting involved and potentially paying the treasury, all of these bigger issues. TikTok itself as an app, as a platform, is already dealing with a lot of issues. So I'm curious to see how those are going to be in the background as a lot of these potential acquisition discussions come to the fray.
I just wanted to weigh in on the code issue because I don't think it's that big of a deal. It depends on how many people they take from TikTok who are the actual programmers. But when you have 50 million lines of code, and that doesn't even compare to, for instance, Windows 10, you don't have any one person with their finger on the pulse that knows every single thing that's going on. You don't have to. But I'll just give you a funny anecdote from Bill Gates back in the day, since Microsoft might be buying this. Bill Gates was a great programmer himself, and he would take on any difficult task that one of his underlings couldn't get through. And his famous quip back in the day was, "Oh, you want me to do that myself? I'll do it over the weekend." And somebody else would get it done.
Well, and guys, whether or not the code really will take that long to port over, I mean, to Melody's point, the September 15 deadline never made much sense, or at least, it never appeared to carry much weight. The idea that Trump said, okay, we'll let someone buy it, but it has to be done by September 15. And I think I saw something from TikTok out there saying, we aren't necessarily going to get it done by then, and good luck to them. I mean, it's sort of like the kickback that Trump has said. The government demands a fee for it. Okay, you can say it all you want. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. But just another final thought here on this is that if it is, a Facebook that makes sense to buy this, or if it is a Microsoft, if it's one of these companies, the idea that it isn't so simple to just split it off from its parent company and that it's going to require time and code has to be ported over and engineers have to move over, that's a reminder of how difficult it would be to split off some of the previously acquired companies from companies like Facebook. I mean, everyone says, oh yeah, Facebook has so many obvious glaring antitrust issues. Make it sell off WhatsApp, make it sell off Instagram. Not so simple. They've all been integrated into one company. Now, maybe that's not a good excuse, but it would be very complicated if lawmakers actually go through with this and say, yeah, you have to get rid of this startup that you acquired 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's always easier to play fantasy business than it is to play actual business of getting people to go in and actually make all these stuff happen. But such is the world that we live in.